All right, here we go. So Algebra 4, we are going to move on to the next section in that 12-3 handout, reteach. And there's a lot going on that page, so just wanted to make sure you got a clear understanding of the steps that need to be taken. So we're going to go on to part 1B. And just to kind of recap what we went over last time, we talked about arithmetic series, which are the differences, the common differences between the number before it and the number after it being the same constant or consistent number. So moving forward, and we're going to just grow from what we learned yesterday. So now here is the formula. This formula. This formula here is the arithmetic sequence formula, and it allows you to find the missing terms. So kind of like in multi-step equations where you may have a portion of the information, excuse me, and you're having to fill in the additional information. So that's what we're doing. So we're going to look at the formula here, and it starts off with a to the n power. So that n is the term, the nth term. So depending on which term it is, sometimes we may need a number for the 5th term, 10th term, 31st term. It just kind of depends on the problem. So a to the n equals a to the first. Now, a to the first. A to the first is the first number of your sequence. It is the first number of your sequence. So in looking at this one, and I'm just trying to give you a visual, it's the first number to your sequence. And I kind of define that for you there. So if you want to, write these notes down, it'll be quite helpful. Or screenshot the video or just freeze it so that way you'll get a better understanding. So next we have a to the 1 plus parentheses n minus 1. Now, the n. The n represents the term number. The n represents the term number. So, we have the term number minus 1. So, we have a to the second, a to the n equals a1 plus parentheses n minus 1. And it is going to be multiplied by d. Remember the d? The d is the common difference, remember? So it's the common difference. So the common difference. And remember, we said the common difference is the numbers in between. The numbers before and after, as long as they are the same. It has to be consistent. So, in looking at this one, we have -3 to -1, which is a difference of 4. Then you have -1. Oh, wait. My bad. Why can't I get this together? From -3 to -1 is a 2 difference. So you go -3, down, -2, down, and then -1. So that's a difference of 2. Then you have a -1 to 1. So if you're looking at a number sign, it goes from -1 to 0 to 1. So there'll be 2. Then you go from 1 to 3, which is a 2 interval. And then from 3 to 5, 2. And then from 5 to 7 is 2. And then from 7 to 9, 2. So that gives us a common difference of 2. Now, remember, in our formula, it says a to the 1. That's the first term in the sequence. So the first term in the sequence is -3. All right, so our directions say write the explicit form for the sequence below. So we're going to write the form for the sequence below. All right, so we're going to look at our formula and we're going to plug that information in. Now, when I don't know a formula, a good thing, one thing I like to do is rewrite the formula because that kind of helps me learn the formula. So with that being said, I'm going to write the formula as a to the n equals a1 plus parentheses n minus 1, and then I have d. All right, so what does that look like now? So looking at our example that started with -3. So we said a1 is our first number. So that's this number right here. So it's going to be -3. So we're going to plug that in. All right. And then we're going to keep our addition sign. We don't know what our n is. So we're going to keep that n. And then it says -1. And our d is 2. So we're going to plug that in. So we plugged in our distance. We plugged in our 2. So we have our a1 and then we have our 2. All right. So that's all it's asking us to do right there. It just says write the explicit form for the sequence. And if we look on our form that we were looking at, so we just plug that in. Now, like I said, there's a lot of pieces to it, so that's why I'm just trying to make sure we have practice. All right, so we have -4 to -3, which gives us a difference of 4. Then we have -3 to -1, which gives us a difference of 4. 1 to 5, difference of 4. And then 5 to 9 gives us 4. So our D is 4. Our A1, we said, is the first term. So our A1 in this one is going to be -7. So we plug in our -7. All right. So that just gives us our formula. So now we're going to go ahead and plug that in. So we said our A1 is the first number of the sequence. So that's -7. And we're just plugging it into the formula that we've already looked at, which is our n minus 1. And then our d, which is 4. So remember, whenever we are solving problems, we always solve what's in parentheses first, and then we move forward from there. So with that being said, let me give you one to practice. All right, so if you'll go ahead and take a couple of minutes, solve that. Well, at least find out what your common difference is. So our steps for this process is to identify, oh, I'm sorry. Our steps to this process is to identify the common difference. So that's step one. And step two is to, oh, you know what? Yeah. And then identify the first number. Now remember, our objective is to find the indicated terms of the arithmetic sequence. So these are all key information that we're going to need to move to the next step. Now, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me on the Remind app or send me a message or email, and I can help you from there. But right now, we're just plugging in the formula and putting in the missing terms, and so we can go on to the next step. Now, I go ahead and finish those steps. So if you look on that same form, 12-3, we did the series where we're going to find out if it's yes or no. Then we found the difference. And now we have our A1. And in our next video, we are going to go ahead and do the entire formula here. And we're going to plug that information in. All right, till next time, go ahead and complete those steps and you're ready for the next step. Have a wonderful afternoon.